Yes, so at the end of this course, these are some of the things that I expect all students to know. I expect students to learn how to combine different media, possibly on a web application, and also learn the various audio and video formats that are available. You also have a fair idea of what multimedia software tools that can help in developing multimedia applications. Now, this course, which is multimedia systems and design, we are not going to be using Photoshop or whatever, no. It's to give you an idea what multimedia is. As you move along in the subsequent semesters, I know in second year, you have, in second year, for instance, you have computer graphics, which I'll be taking you. That we will hold some practical section. And again, next semester, you will have web programming. I will also be taking you that. So in that, I would hit on some of the practicalities of some sections of the multimedia application or multimedia system design. So have this in mind, and this is to give you the theoretical approach on most of how these multimedia systems and design work. There are certain theories and certain concepts that you have to have at your fingertips, so that using some of these software or coming together with groups and teams to create multimedia application becomes very easy. So these are the basic 3 objectives that you'll be running through. Now I'm going to present this course in this order. And we usually almost every lecturer will talk about this, mainly because it is mandatory for us to let you know how the course is going to be presented and how the lectures will be delivered, how we will also be assessed. So most of the lectures that we'll be doing will be happening with the VLE, like what is happening here online. I'll be doing most of them online. And the reason is, I expect most of you to, the reason is, as you saw me, I've already started the recording of this video. Right after this, when it is ready, I'll put it online for all of you to have access to it. At any point in time, you can revisit and also watch and learn things that were done some time back. So that is one of the reasons I have these online. There will be tutorial sections as and when, if the need be for us to hold tutorials, I would let you know. We also would have a little of practicals, and also practicals we might not really delve much into practicals per se, as I explained earlier. The idea is to give you the concept and the theory behind multimedia design systems and its design. And as I said, second year, we will be now, based on the concept that you know, we'll be using it to do certain practicals in the second semester and also in second year, and as we move along. So I'm going to give you handouts and also virtually all the lecture material. PowerPoint slides I'm using today, I'm going to get it to you. And most of you were asking me, lecture material handouts. You have not even met you, so you don't expect me to give you a handout. Now, we will be using the VLE a lot. I have a little poll in here. I think the number is actually increasing, so I quickly would want to put up this and get these information from you. Based on the things I just talked about, personally wanting to hold most of the lectures online, do you agree whether we should hold lectures online or come to classroom? Lectures. Yeah, I'm creating a poll to get the response from about 71 of you. Just a minute. All right, so I just launched it. So I quickly would want to get these information from you. So quickly answer it and let me know. Based on what I've told you, let me answer these and let me know so we know the way forward. Those that just joined, there is a poll I want you to answer. So please go through it. Based on the response we have here, that is what we will stick to. As I said, I was hoping to get online, have these lectures online. And even if you do miss one or two, you still will have access to the video because I'll put it online for you. If you still want me to come to the classroom, then please let me know. So those are the options and choices that are available. Please answer quickly and let's move on. Yes, please check your phone. There is a poll there. Quickly answer and let's move on. Okay, so I think those of us here, let me end the poll so we can continue. All right, so Sam and Joshua, you keep writing on the screen. Don't know why you keep doing that. Okay, quickly. So these are the results from the poll. So you can see most of you would want me to come in person to class. That is a good point. So if you want it that way, then I expect the class reps to do their job to make sure they get a classroom ready for me at any time we're supposed to hold a class. So please, class reps, make sure you do that. We'll hold our lectures in the classroom. So please do that. All right, with that said, all the lectures will be in person. Assignments, quizzes, and all will be online. So like the quiz that I set up for you for today, I just hit it. So I'll change the time for you to take it up possibly tomorrow. So I'll meet you in class tomorrow. Then we will take our first quiz in class. So make sure you come along with, you can bring your phone. The phone is good enough for the quiz. You can bring your phone. All right, so let me stop sharing let's continue with today's activity. Yes. So from here, you can see the lecture periods is supposed to be today, 4:30 to that. I'm believing this will be resolved this week. So next week, we wouldn't have a problem. Tomorrow, I know there might be another clash. I'm believing that will also be resolved. So this is how to get help. If you need me, my office is at the School of Petroleum, office number 5, and that is my phone number. And these are my social media handles. I will entreat most of you, if you are here and you don't have a LinkedIn account, I will advise you have a LinkedIn account. It is very important. That is a way of showcasing some of the things that you learn as you move along in your on your stay on campus, or in the program that you offer, which is information systems and technology. So these are my research areas. So from now through to final year, those that would want me to probably supervise you in final year, these are the research areas. I have a class rep, a teaching assistant who is in the person of Elijah Prepo. I will show him, I will let him come. You'll see him in class the next time we meet. Yes, so I believe you can see my screen. You can answer on the chat if you can see my screen. Great. All right. Thank you very much. Yes, those that talked about online, majority carries the food, so we will not go online. So please, that's it. All right. So attendance, as you know, is 10%. Usually I give a mark of 10 to students. But I don't know how it's going to be this time. I expect to see you in class too, as and when we have class. Continuous assessment, you are aware, is 30 marks. We would have some presentations. So I'll give you some topics, and sometimes some of you might be put in a group to do a presentation. And the presentation could start from next 2 weeks. So please get yourself ready. I'll get you all the necessary information that you need. So we would have some group presentations, and we might also have some individual presentations. So have that in mind. We'll have some quizzes, but the date and time I would let you know as and when. Most of the quizzes will be MCQs, that is multiple choice questions. Usually we call it as session A, where you have A, B, C, D as the options to choose from. MCQs kind of quiz. Your first quiz, which would not be today, but tomorrow, will be MCQ. So please get yourself ready. In the exams, some of the exams, it's possible we might have some of the exams online, depending on how things are. If it is online, then, well, what you see here is tentative, it's not final. So it's subject to change. So as and when per the directive that is given, if first years are allowed to write the exams online, you will be required to write your exams through online. And most times it will be in the form of MCQs and sometimes some practical presentation that I would want you to do. The pass mark, as you know, is 50 marks. There are policies in the institution, so we expect you to abide by it. Cheating. Right after this, I have an assignment for you. If you copy your friends, I will know. And if you are not aware, we have something we call plagiarism. Turn it in. It's an application. Excuse me. It's an application that helps us to know if somebody copied some information from the colleague. So I would always know. So when I give you assignment, I expect you to do it individually. You can research online, get information online, read, understand it, and write it your own. Don't copy and paste things as you have been doing. All right, so I give students a failing homework grade for cheating. If you cheat, I'll give you 0 straight. I will not even hesitate. So please, anytime I give you assignment, make sure you do it individually. All right. You can sometimes discuss some of the assignments with your friends, but at the end of the day, you make sure you do it yourself. And that is what I intend you do. Now let's talk about the main work for today. Now, I've categorized most of the lectures in units. So you'll be seeing it in units 1, unit 2, and 3. And from the online, which I'm going to show you briefly, let me take the opportunity to let you see this so that you become familiar with the things that I'll be doing. I will put it online for you guys to see. All right, so here, this is the dashboard for the lecture. You can see we have in here we have all right, you can see we have the general information, virtually every information, everything that we need will be here. And from here, you can see we have forum and also feedback. People who put information, the forum, I expect you, if you have a question, you can put it there. If any of your colleagues come in there to answer the question, the person has a mark. So if you don't understand anything, I expect you to put in the forum. You can create a forum, maybe a question in the forum, and any of your colleagues who answers that gets a mark. I'll give a mark to that person. And at the end, this is the feedback. I expect you to give your views of the course later on. Now, with this, all our lectures, this is the Zoom that I created, but since we'll not be doing, would have been here. Now, this is all assignments. I will put them here. We're supposed to have the first one in here. Assignment, quizzes, and presentation questions will be put in here. So please get yourself ready. Our first lecture is on multimedia. So you'll see it as unit 1. The next one, we will see it unit 2, unit 3, as and when you come up. All right, so now let's start with today's activity. Now, with that said, I would want to inquire from anyone. Can any of you tell me what they think multimedia is? Anyone? Anyone? And in my class, okay, there is no right or wrong, please. We discuss. If I don't agree with you, I'll tell you where I don't agree with you. And feel free to ask questions. Yes, Samuel, can we hear you?
Okay, so I think multimedia is relating to the social environment, which is maybe a radio presenter or multimedia person communicating to the listeners over there, giving out message.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point to raise. Multimedia, okay. Who else? Anyone? And yes, most of our lectures will be interactive. So in class, this is what will be happening. So please, yeah, let's have the next question. Who is this from gentleman?
Hello, sir.
All right, Kelvin. Kelvin, let's hear you out. Kelvin, yeah, your hand is up. Yeah.
Sir. Yeah, multimedia is a form of communication that uses a combination of different content forms, such as text, audio, images, animations, or video, into a single interactive presentation.
Yeah, that is a very good point, and that is really good. And I like the fact that, most of you in this age, I think most of you are on the social media and you have been using multimedia stuff a lot. So I like the interaction that is really going on. Thank you very much, Kelvin. Can we have Amponsa?
Sir.
Yes, Amponsa.
To convey a message.
Come again. Can you come again?
Is the use of more than one type of media to convey a message.
All right. I think that is great. And then finally, I'm going to ask, that is great, Kelvin. Aponsa. Rosetta, let's hear you, then we will continue with the lecture. All right, Ms. Rosetta. Is it Rosita or Rosetta? You can mention your name rightly. Rosita, can you hear you? Rosita?
Media is the use of variety of artistic communicative media.
All right, that's great. I think for now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we did hear you. Thank you very much, Rosita.
Media is the use of variety of artistic communicative media.
You're having a definition inside the definition. That's okay. Thank you very much, Rosita. So now I'm going to mute everybody, and anyone who has a question, you just raise your hand. I'll give you access to talk. Yes, Boatin? All right, so I have everybody muted. Anyone who has a question as we move along can raise their hand. I'll give you the chance that you talk. All right, so let's continue. So let's start with the unit 1 for today. Yes, so yeah, so each unit that we start, I would try to let you have an idea what the unit will be about. So as we move on, you get to know that, okay, this is what is expected from me, or this is what I'm going to learn at the end of this particular unit. So the unit objective for this one, for the first unit, is what is being displayed here. So after studying this unit, you, the student, will be able to describe the meaning of multimedia system and its usage. You understand the stages of multimedia projects. There are projects, there are multimedia projects that we will talk about. You understand the stages that are involved in such projects. And you'll be able to explain multimedia skills that are required in a team. And as I said, after this, I will have an assignment for you, which is probably might be due next week. Right, so these are the objectives for the units. Now, you've talked about multimedia as, let me just minimize this so we can see. We started by talking about what multimedia is, and you can see on your screen. So multimedia is something, you know, the important thing is because of the introduction of, you know, the technology, the new ICT, let me put it that way, and technology, most of us have interacted with some sort of multimedia in one way or the other. So multimedia is something people can see, hear, touch, read on a website, radio. I think Kelvin was talking about that. That was great. Television, video games, you know, those that are into FIFA, playing of FIFA video games, San Andreas, GTA, I think, Hitman, but there are lots of games that relates to that. All these are possible because of multimedia or stuff. Phones, application, retail stores. Somebody will ask me, how does retail stores come in here? When you start doing things, transactions online, buying things online, some of these things will pop in. Cinema halls, ATMs. If you go stand behind an ATM, it is based on what you see or probably hear or touch. And some of these things that you see, hear, touch, and read, they all relate to multimedia. So in general, most people would define a multimedia as a combination of pictures, text, sound, video, and animation. And that was a very good point that was raised by some of you, which is great. But all the answers given by you were wonderful. In some cases, multimedia might also be classified as a medium which provides information to any user. The user could be somebody using, most of the time, the user could even be humans or even animals and the rest. So it's a medium which provides information to users in the form of text, audio, video, animation, and the rest. Let me get this laser in here. All right. So the information most of the time, the kind of information that is mostly delivered to such users are most of the time in the form of a digital or electronic, by electronic means. I said most of the time, I didn't say all the time. There are times flyers also does relate to, we're able to touch flyers, when somebody does a design and we stick it on notice boards and the rest. These are hard copy, designs that have been made. So the information that is delivered to users by digital or electronic means, I mean, such information relates to multimedia. And these information can be digital or electronic. By digital, most of the time, every digital thing it's something that is electronic. So in simple terms, multimedia is a combination of more than one media. So from the definition and from what was also explained, multi has got to do with more, so many, not one. So media, which in our case could be picture, could be text, could be sound, could be video, could be audio. So just like movies that we do see, somebody will say a movie, a movie can be described as series of pictures arranged in a sequential order with an overlay of voice. So if you have so many pictures, for instance, if you have, let's say, a 10 minutes video, sorry, a 10-second video, there are certain software that you can use to get the text out of the video, sorry, to get the pictures out of the video. And in doing so, per every frame, so the video can be this way. This is the starting of the video. The moment it moves here, assuming my hand is supposed to tilt this way. This is the starting. As I keep tilting it, so it's all those will be placed in what we call frames. So most of the videos that we see, the short videos could be in about 30 frames per second. So within just a second, you can have about 30 pictures coming together to form that particular video. So that is what I mean by 30 frames per second. So somebody say, the definition that somebody probably said was, if you have a movie with sound and all of that, it could be, a movie can be classified as a sequence of pictures which are arranged in the right order, in the right frame. And based on this, we'll be able to have an overlay of sound. So when we have sound beneath the movie, beneath the pictures, we more or less create a video. Some of you might have seen, I think some years back, let me see if I can demonstrate that with maybe a book, I'm not so sure. So I have a book in here, I think online, yeah, I'll see if I can include it into the PowerPoint or the presentation. There are some artists who are able to draw things very well. So for every page, so for instance, on the first page, you can have the person standing and the person moving the first leg on the second page, third page. So at the end of the day, they are able to flip these at a very high speed. In our case, will be frame for it to show you what the person is doing. I'm sure some of you have seen some videos like that. So in some years back, that was how people were able to do some sort of animation. Yes, and as I said, this course is mainly centered on the concepts, the theoretical aspects. And as you move on, the practical section will probably start from second year, so second semester. So don't really worry much. But you need to grab these concepts right. So when a user is allowed to control the elements of multimedia, then it becomes interactive. So interactive by interactivity. So for instance, On your TV, most of you are able to interact with your TV by the use of the remote. So you're able to change channels and do certain things with the remote. So that makes such such display more interactive. This multimedia interactive. Sometimes I'll give you very good examples as we move along. And these interactive multimedia is what we call hypermedia. So when we say hyper, in our normal sense, when we say someone is hyper, it means that person is very active. This guy is very hyper. It means he's super active. So that is how. So when we have a media which is hyper, which is active, then it is interactive. So that is a hypermedia. So interactive multimedia is called hypermedia. So I think in Word, when you start doing practicals in Microsoft Word, you'll see something we call hypertext. A hypertext is just like a text which is hyper, which could be active at any point. So by hovering maybe a cursor or a mouse on a hypertext, you can click on it. So it is active. It does something behind the scene. So interactive multimedia is called hypermedia when the user is given the structure of linked elements to control it. So as I was saying, if we give you a joystick, if you are playing a game and you have a joystick, you're able to control the actor or the person or the player, in the game. So this makes it hypermedia. So it's also interactive. So anytime you give a user is given a structure or linked elements to control the multimedia, it's really termed as a hypermedia. All right. So with that said, so in this way, multimedia is a mixture of different forms of media, as has been said. We could have a text, we could have graphics, we could have audio, we could have video. So a text can be maybe the text that you see in here, like multimedia. When we say text, something that you type, writings, sentences, these are texts. Graphics sometimes, this screen that you see here, you can see there is some sort of colors overlay in here, and we can convert this whole text that you see here, or this entire page, into a picture. And when this is converted into a picture, it becomes a graphic. Audio, you can hear me because I'm talking and, based on the analog, the voice that I'm using to talk, it's the computer, the microphone has a way of picking the analog signal and converting it to a digital signal, which is put into the computer for you to hear. It's also reverse the process and also make it analog for you to understand or hear me out. But most of the multimedia things that we normally would talk about will relate to things that are digital, that are electronic. So the text, the graphics, the audio, the video, like seeing me in movies and all of that, they all relate to multimedia. And these are different forms of media. If it is one, it is medium, because we are dealing with media, so multimedia. So in today's world, most of the multimedia is found everywhere. Right? It could be found in the educational institutions, like what is happening right now. In the offices, we are able to see things on our screen, computer screen. At the airport, sometimes when you watch movies, you do see a huge display telling people where they are going at any point in time. Maybe their flight is scheduled at this particular point in time. There's a giant screen displaying information in the form of pictures, in the form of text, sometimes in the form of audio. At the airport, you will hear somebody talking. It's time to board a flight, those kind of things. These are all relating to multimedia. in our today's world, we can find all these things at these places. We can also see it railway station, journalism, creative and industry, even on TVs, the movies, the films, excuse me, radios, even in a hospital. There are certain things that, in fact, multimedia is everywhere, IT industry, research, and the rest. So the kind of media components and how they are used in multimedia programs does matter a lot. And these are some basic examples that has been classified in here for you to see. So now let's take the first one. So let's take a typical example. So a music video and sound to be used together as one. So without the other, it will lose its significance. So now, if you're unable to, so for instance, if Shatawale is to release his song, if Shatawale or maybe, hey, who is Shatawale's counterpart? Dancehall artists, I think, Stoneboy or whoever. If, yes, Nicholas, you want to answer. Some of these are expecting you can put it in the chat. Yes. So if Stoneboy releases a new track and in the track, we only see the video and we don't hear the audio. Can you imagine how funny it will look? Listen to them opening their mouths and dancing to a supposed tune or whatever. It will look so funny. Yeah. And because of this, it is necessary to always, videos most of the time should always go with sound. Just to make it, not lose its significance. So a music video and sound should be used together to have the significance. So you see Shatawale dancing and some ladies dancing around him and all of that. And you can hear the sound, can hear the beats and all of that. That is what makes us, enjoy the music or movie or whatever. So the kind of media components and how they are used in a multimedia program does matter a lot. If there is no synchrony between the sound, the sound and the beat, the dance and the beat, we probably will say this individual does not know how to dance because the dance is offbeat and the sound is also different. So when it comes to video and sound, they have to always be put together. Anytime we think of putting up a movie or a clip or whatever, we should have all these overlay together to make it easier to understand and not lose its significance. So multimedia provides important information in an interactive way with the use of images, graphics. When I say graphics, images, graphics, sometimes we can classify them together, but as you move on, you get to know there's a slight difference between them. Animation, video, audios, and the rest. So for this reason, it is most of these, the multimedia is gaining popularity as a powerful educational tool. Just like what is happening here, sorry. Without multimedia, teaching you would have been very difficult online as we're having it in here. So there are various multimedia software that can be used in the field of education. Some years back, a lecturer will record a video and put it on a CD or DVDs and give to his students. The students will use the CD or DVD to see what is happening. In our current world now, most of the things that we do will be put on, like as I talked about this video, I'll put it online for you to see. So you will have a feel of what you have a soft copy of this multimedia, which will encompass the video and the audio that you are seeing. I'll put all of them online. And once it goes online, you see the online version of the multimedia. So these are some of the things. Now, PowerPoint, you will treat all of this when you in your, I think, introduction to computing. Yeah, you will treat that. PowerPoint presentation involves text and graphics in a multimedia presentation. So you can see there's a PowerPoint. This is my PowerPoint. You can see text here. You can see graphic, which is an image. This is an image of the university logo and other things. So PowerPoint is also an example of a multimedia program that we can use to let people know and have a feel of what we want them to know. So generally, there are various components that make up a multimedia production. We are talking about, we are combining content from various media. You know, from the previous one, we talked about the media and its usage. We also talked about the introduction and all of that. So moving on, we are on the combination of these contents from various media coming together to form the multimedia. So there are various components that make up the multimedia production. So anytime there's supposed to be some sort of multimedia production, there are certain things that needs to go through. That's a multimedia expert, you know, a multimedia designer, a multimedia person should always have in mind whenever you think of a multimedia production. So in a program, more than one media element, it's necessary to call it a multimedia. If you have just text, you can't classify it as a multimedia. So for instance, if I have maybe a notepad, which is maybe I have a notepad which is just full of text information in here, no picture, nothing. It's just one way. That can be a multimedia. So you should be mindful of that. Excuse me. So some examples of media are given below: text and typography, colored pictorial or graphical backgrounds, images, graphics such as photographs, illustrations, cartoons, diagram shapes, arrows, and most of these you'll find in the Microsoft Office suite when you start with during the practical session in the introduction to computing. Most of these you'll be taught how to incorporate them in your documents. 2D and 3D animation. Yes. So it's also an example of a multimedia. When you get to second year, I'll be teaching you how to come out with 2D objects and also 3D objects. You know, 2D, when we talk about 2D, these are objects that are made up of the X and Y axis. They have the X coordinate and the Y coordinate. An example can be like, what do you call it? Square, rectangle. These are all 2D objects. So 3D objects, second year, I think first semester, you will create objects like the cube. You will create, the course is computer graphics. You will learn how to do, use the web browser to create some of these 3D objects. So you can create an object like this, in your web browser. So there are other objects. You can also create an object like this in a computer graphics class. So all these relate, and you will be spinning some of these objects. If you have objects like this one too, you can also create an object like this. All these objects can be created in computer graphics, but with multimedia is just about getting to know the concepts and the things that relates to some of these things. So 2D and 3D animations also relates to multimedia. It's also an example of a media. Audio files such as songs, sound effects, music is also a media. So anytime we talk, if somebody use the term, I want you to copy this, go to my computer and copy this media for me. It's in this particular folder. You could ask the person what type of media it is. Is it an audio file, or is it a video file, or is it maybe an animation, whatever, or is it a text or whatever? You can inquire and get to know some of these. These are media. These are examples of media. So video files such as short movies, advertisements that is being showcased online, they are all examples. Buttons, menus for easy navigation. So on websites, there are times you see, click here to subscribe, click here to log in, click here to register. These are all buttons that, makes it easier for some of these media to be more accessible online. So we combine some of these media to form our multimedia, put it that way. Yeah, so based on so there are categories of multimedia. And this category can be, these categories are based on how multimedia programs are used. So based on how it is used, we can categorize it. Multimedia can be divided into two forms. The first form is the linear multimedia. And the second one is the nonlinear multimedia. I'm saying this again. Now, we are able to categorize multimedia based on two things, two forms. We are able to categorize multimedia based on how it is being used. So based on how multimedia programs are used, we can now categorize it. So based on that, we can say it's either a linear multimedia or a non-linear multimedia. So from your SHS and also your core math and the rest, when you say linear, something that has got to do with line, in series. Yeah, so that is a linear multimedia. So linear multimedia. Anytime we talk about linear multimedia, we mean to say that the information is read or is viewed in a way that is continuous, or the information is read in a continuous sequence. So that is the linear media. Usually these presentations begin at a predetermined starting point and end at a predetermined point. Sorry, excuse me. So for linear multimedia, most of these multimedia that relates to linear, we predetermine the start and we also have an idea when it will end. So that is a linear multimedia. That, as I said, such information is read or is viewed in a continuous sequence. So they can be automated. So what is happening right now, they cannot be automated so that once you start, it could move on and end at the last page. So that's an example of a linear multimedia. An example is the PowerPoint presentation, like what is happening here. Before, when you logged onto the platform, we were able to now, you saw the first screen, which was the page for, you saw this page. So that is the start of the screen. And as we moved along, now we are somewhere on the 17th page. It will eventually end. And you can see I started from the first slide and I keep moving sequentially. So in a continuous sequence. So that makes it linear. So an example is a PowerPoint presentation. It's one of the most common example of a linear multimedia. So because it goes in sequence, you can't start from one and it will not go to two, it has to go in sequence. So that is an example of a linear multimedia. And as I said, the way the program is used determines the type of multimedia it is. Second one, which you can see on the screen, is the nonlinear multimedia. So this obviously is more of a reverse of what we said about linear. If it is not linear, then it's nonlinear. So in nonlinear multimedia, the information that we are talking about in here is not presented in a sequential or chronological order or manner, but rather nonlinear programs are usually interactive and require the audience to interact. So with this, we don't expect most of the things to move in sequence, like how I'm going slide by slide, as is shown in PowerPoint. But with nonlinear, this does not work that way. We don't go in sequence. It is always in a nonlinear format. And by it being nonlinear, it means we control it. We interact with what we see and we do things to it. And this most of the time require the audience or a user to now tell it what to do at any point in time. An example could be maybe the website. If you visit any website, so for instance, excuse me, I'm going to display this once again in here. So I like to do some demonstration. Sometimes whilst I teach, I go online to also make things easier for us if the need be to search. So sorry, for instance, I've gone to, can you see the screen? Can you tell me what you see? Can somebody chat me what they see on the screen? Chrome, great. That's wonderful. Thank you, Solomon. Yes, so unfortunately, why is it not working? Let me see. It's okay. Let me use incognito mode. Incognito mode usually hides certain things. All right, so whilst it loads, so just like going to any website, sorry. Please. I'm sorry, just give me a minute. Okay. So just like going to any website, thank you very much, Zoom user. Letitia, thank you. Yeah. So just like going to any website, usually when you you open a website, you'll see links, you'll see other menus and the rest. Let me use a different, I don't know why it's not opening. Ghana Web, for instance. Okay, that's up. So now we are talking about nonlinear multimedia. Things are not in sequence, like the PowerPoint where I go from next, and then the rest. So with this, you can see on the home, this is the homepage. I can't do any other thing unless I interact with the page. And even that, I need, if I want to see things on different pages, there are so many information that are in here. I can choose to go to sports to look for information about sports. I can choose to look for information on entertainment. So whichever order that I want, I can do that. So that's, first of all, makes it nonlinear. That's the first one. Secondly, before I can talk to I can read or do other things in here, I need to interact with the objects or with the page that I'm seeing. So by doing these, clicking on these hyperlinks, or we talk about links or menus. So that is also an example. So things are, I wouldn't say disorganized. Things are placed in sections and subcategories and all of that, and I can have access to them as and when I need by interacting with the objects. In our case, is the website. However, with the PowerPoint, I can only see the other ones as I move in a sequential order. All right. So PowerPoint, most of the applications that is linear multimedia is PowerPoint. And when we talk about non-linear multimedia, the most common ones are the websites or web pages that I showed you in here. All right, so we can continue. All right. Now on the next screen, you can see here. So this is a typical example of what the linear and the multimedia, and linear multimedia looks like. So you can see with a linear, there is always a start page and there is a finish page. So this is the start and this is the finish. And we have maybe 1, 2, 3, and it is in the form of a sequence. It's in a sequence, in a chronological order. It goes in a sequence. However, from here, for the non-linear multimedia, you can see it is not, it's when you come to home, at home, you can either go to level 1, level 2, level 3. It's not a sequence. You can choose to go to whichever page you want. Just like how I showed you in here. I think it's called, how I showed you in at the home page, which is GhanaWeb.com, I can choose to go wherever I want. Business, entertainment, Africa, whichever place that I'm comfortable with. So we can have the home page, we can have level 1, level 2, from level 1, we can have level 2 and the rest. Don't worry, next semester I will be teaching you web programming and you would appreciate some of these. You'll learn how to develop a website, a web application, and also how to design a website. These are things that I think the first few weeks, you will learn how to design a website. By doing that, I've seen some students who are able to, just after the first 2 weeks, they are able to, look for clients and design websites for them. All these things are not so difficult. We'll be teaching you as we move along. So just be patient. Let's get the terms right, understand the concepts right, and we will appreciate it as we move along. Okay. Yes, so that is about, the category of multimedia. So now let's talk about the features of multimedia. And by the feature, anytime, so there are some, of course, multimedia does have some features, and this is what we're going to delve into now. So digital and computer-based images. So please pay attention to this statement. I'll explain it I'll explain it again. So digital and computer-based images, text, graphical, that is graphics, animation, and audio, video, that can be turned from one form to another are two fundamental features of multimedia. Well, what is this statement really saying? Well, it's saying that multimedia in its sense refers to a digital and also a computer-based content. So when you talk of multimedia, it's a digital and also a computer-based content. And this content can be transformed from one form to another. So that is how come sometimes you can have a music video and you can have a video and you can convert it to a different form, which could be an audio. more like a song, MP3, whatever the case is. So multimedia in itself refers to digital and computer-based content that can be transformed from one form to another. And most of the time, these types of content that are mentioned, that is the images, the text, the graphics, the audios, and the videos, can be converted to different forms. That is how come sometimes when you send a picture to a friend via WhatsApp, the quality reduces because it's converted to a quality to something that will be easily accessible on a friend's phone. Now, if you want the quality to be so good, the original picture could also be sent as a document. This time around, it's not sent as a picture as we see, which is compressed to reduce some of the fineness of that picture, but rather, we actually send the actual document of the picture or the actual picture, which contains the finest, the unpixelated graphic or picture that is sent to them. So for instance, sometimes if there are some students that do some projects for me, I usually have students around because I learn from them. I learn from students learn from me from different angles. So I like to have students around most of the time. And there are some students who that do certain projects for me, which if you do a good job, sometimes I tip you. Yeah. Yeah, so with that said, yeah. So the type of content mentioned are images, text. So you can have an image. Those that have used Photoshop before, if you use Photoshop to create an image in Ph.D, the quality is very high and the size is very big. Usually, the bigger the size, the higher the resolution and the better the quality of the picture. So if the size is too big and the person who is going to use the image or the picture is not really computer savvy and would want maybe something, will not even know that there are noise in the picture. By noise, I mean to say maybe the picture has something we call pixels. We'll talk about most of these. So we can convert this picture, those that have used Photoshop before, from PSD to JPEG. And the moment we do that, the quality is reduced. So some of these, if it's a graphic, if it is also an animation, we can also, animation with audio, we can always also get the audio out of the animation. So these different types of content can be transformed into different formats, making them versatile and also accessible across different platforms. There are certain platforms that you can run certain applications. So, for instance, I'm not so sure if a picture of TIF formats can be viewed on a mobile phone. I'm not sure. I know on computer it does. I don't know if it has an application that can view. Those that are computers, Photoshop savvy, TIF picture, a picture which is TIF, can it be viewed on the mobile phone? I don't know about that. Maybe those that are conversant with that can talk about it. All right. Okay, so generally, multimedia presentations are viewed either in person, in a boardroom, in a class. Like if we meet in class, we can have a multimedia presentation being viewed in class. We can have it on the stage. You can have it at a cinema. We can have it at the auditorium. If the auditorium is classified as cinema, we can view a multimedia presentation. Sometimes when you go for conferences too, you can have some of these multimedia presentation also being displayed online at conferences. Those that have had the chance to see TEDx, I think the TED Talks, you get to see people presenting, somebody is asking me the meaning of TIF. But I don't know, so let's check it out. TIF file format. Let's check it out. I know it's an image file format, TIF, sorry. Yeah, I think this is a very good point. That is Aqua Joshua, thank you. Yeah, there are times some of these things, you might not know everything, but as and when it comes across, please take the advantage and learn. So you can see from here, TIF, which stands for Tag Image File Format, is a computer file used to store raster graphics and image information. When we talk of raster graphics are graphics that sometimes we pixelate. When you say an image pixelate, if you should take your phone and you should pick a picture on the phone. The moment you open the picture and you keep zooming the picture. Let me see if I can even do this from here. Let's see, we have a picture of this cat. Let me open it in the new page so we can have this one. So if any picture that you have on a screen, on your phone or whatever, the moment you keep zooming in or zooming out the picture, making the picture big, it gets to a point that you see the picture as a dot. I don't know if any of you have realized that. If you do see it as a dot, you can check, yeah, that's great. So the moment you're able to see pictures in the form of dots, then it means that picture is a raster image or a raster picture. By raster, it means it pixelates when it is enlarged. The dots that you see is what we call a pixel. And a pixel is the basic or the building block of maybe an image or a picture. So when you have so many pixels coming together, it will form an image. The computer screen that you see, there are some basic picture colors, RGB, reds. I think the primary colors are red. Red, blue, and what? The primary colors. What are the primary colors? So a combination of these primary colors, when you combine these primary colors, you're able to get other colors. I think you learn some of these when we move along. So that is a raster. So he's saying TIF stands for Tag Image File Format. What he's saying is a computer file used to store raster graphics and image information. So you can check it out later. So I wanted to expand this one. Yes, RBG. Yes, that is great. Thank you, Aqua. So you can see even, let's see. The concentration is still on the, okay, I think it has ended. You can see at a point, the quality goes down and we see dots, and the rest. So that is where the pixelation comes in. So that is the dots that you see is a pixel. And in fact, your phone, your monitor, somebody is asking me between the difference between pixel and quality. Yes. Okay, so for instance, your monitor, if your monitor is sometimes, let me use this as an example. There are some movies that are 720p. So by 720p, we mean to say we have about, let me use it in a layman term, about 720 pixels coming together to form that particular movie. So maybe that particular screen. And there are movies that we say it is 1080p. I'm sure some of you, and there are times we say, oh, this movie is 4K, which is 4,496, I guess, I think, yeah. 4K, this movie is 4K. So the higher the resolution, the better the quality, the many the pixels. I don't know if I'm making sense, Eugene. So the better the quality, the better the quality, the higher the resolution, the many pixels that give that resolution. So if you have a picture, you're watching a movie which is 120, which is just 320p, that should tell you that the quality is not so good. And I'm sure most of you can attest to the fact that, you know, those times pictures or videos that are taken with the old phones, the quality was not so good because they were ranged between 240p and 320p. But as it goes along, we now have 720p. The quality now increases. So the P tells us that we have so many of these pixels coming together to form these objects or these movies. All right. I think in computer graphics, we'll talk about some of these things. All right. So this is multimedia. So let's continue. All right. So where was I? So I explained this what the statement means. So we can have different contents and different types of content that can be transformed into different formats, making them versatile and accessible across platform. By cross-platform, meaning a picture that is shown on a computer should be able to show on your phone because you're able to do the conversion and give it a different format for it to be displayed on the phone. I'm sure if maybe your phone, if your phone is, for instance, if your TV is not 4K, the resolution is not 4K, and you have a pen drive, you have copied a 4K movie, and you put it in, it will not display. You will not be able to watch the movie because the quality of the movie supersedes the resolution of that particular TV. So there are certain things that you need to do. So in this case, you have to now bit down, compress the media, which we will talk about. We'll talk about lossless and lossy medias. We'll talk about it, I think, in either unit 5 or so. We'll hit on them. So generally, multimedia presentations are viewed, as I said, in the classroom, boardrooms, and the rest. And there are times also where we have a live. So anytime we have a live or recorded presentation, this is a term that you should have in mind. If we have a live or recorded presentation, the term is as broadcast. So you can see I have a live presentation with you guys. So I'm broadcasting or I'm showing you certain things online, like GTV. They're able to broadcast something that is live or something that they've already recorded for everybody in Ghana to see. The media stations, all these things happen. So whenever there is a live or a recorded presentation, that is a presentation that is ongoing, we call it broadcasting. So you should have that term in mind. Multimedia games can be used in physical environments with multiple users in an online network with specific special effects or with offline computer or game, whatever. There are times we can, those that play games a lot. There are certain games that you can play online with other people. Especially the shooting games, there are different types of games. So you connect online and you can meet an opponent somewhere and you can play the game with a person. And these are all possible because of the advent of technology and ICT related stuff. Interaction, yeah, Call of Duty. Okay, if that is a game, that is great. Okay, I think so, yeah. So we have multimedia games that happen online. Call of Duty. Those that don't know, so that is Call of Duty. You can check it out. I've not played that before. So interactions in a multimedia program. All right, I think Quivet is asking a question. He says he has a video on his laptop, but does not work. He's unable to play the video. Is it because the video does not meet the player? It depends. Sometimes there are certain players that are unable to play certain videos. But what I've realized is VLC is able to play, if I'm not mistaken, most of the videos. So you can have VLC downloaded, then you should be able to watch that video. If the video file or the multimedia has not, codec is sometimes too, the codec is not supported. Great, that is a good one. There are times the video is actually corrupted. If it's corrupted too, of course, you might not be able to watch it. But I realized VLC is able to play most of these videos. So you can try installing VLC to check it out. The multimedia interaction in multimedia program can be increased by mixing multiple forms of media content. However, depending upon the kind of media content that is displayed, it may differ online. Yeah, so there are certain games that can be played online. You can also have your FIFA downloaded on your PS4 or whatever and played on the computer at home or on the box at home. So you can see from here, we have individual multimedia elements. So the multimedia elements comprises most of these things. So we normally use this film to showcase movies and the rest. So the elements that make up multimedia usually, you can find each of these elements within what we see in here. Yeah, we will talk about, there are some hardware and other related stuff that we will talk as we move along. Maybe not today, but other units. Yes, so now let's talk about application of multimedia. And this is going to be your first assignment. You don't like assignment, but I would want you to read. And the reason is sometimes when we give you assignments, of course, as I said from the introductory class, I said you can discuss some of these things with your friends. It's okay. You can discuss some of the assignments I give you. By the end of the day, you make sure you do it yourself. And as I said, this particular assignment, I'm going to post it online. You are supposed to put it in a Word document and you upload the content into the system. Now, if you are not familiar, quizzes and the assignment that we give, we target to a deadline. So if you don't meet the deadlines, for instance, if I say this assignment, make sure you upload it and it is ready online before 12 midnight. If by 12 midnight you have not uploaded it, the blame is yours. It's not mine. Because I gave you the chance to upload it at the right time and you did not do that. In that case, you will not even have access to upload it. So I give you a total 0. So please take the assignments and exercises that I give you serious. It's just a way to broaden your mind and have an idea what is really going on in the course. So I entreat all of you to do that. So multimedia can be used in a variety of ways or in myriad fields. So many fields relate to multimedia. You and I can attest to the fact that virtually all the fields or common applications that have been listed in here relates to multimedia. So a multimedia presentation can be put together in a varied format, and some of the most common applications are given below. In the business environment, research and medicine, public access, entertainment industry, commercial, education, multimedia in public places, and engineering. So what I want you to do, I'm going to create this assignment in here, in the VLE. So you will see it somewhere here when you log on to the VLE. I'm sorry, I just want to educate you on this. If you have not been educated on that yet, I think it's a good opportunity for me to talk to you about it. Now, I think just a minute. Yeah, so whilst it loads, as I told you, I've done quite a number of projects for the school. So when it comes to things relating to web and graphic related stuff, you saw my research area. Sorry. So those that would want to learn things, you can always approach me. Yeah, I can teach you. And if you also know certain things that you want to share with me, I'm also available to learn from you. And I say this because there are times some students, are able to, there are times some students are, they get to know of some technologies that person I'm not familiar with. So they tell me about it, then I take the opportunity to also learn from them. So give me the opportunity to also learn from you. I can't know everything, but have experience to guide you to know certain things. All right. Since it's not opening, just on the page. So the session that I said assignment and the rest, I'll be loading them up there. Look, man, I don't understand what you've written, though. Okay, so yeah, so I mean this in the assignment, I say write short notes on the above common application of multimedia. So in these areas, I would want you to, in your own words, to read and write short notes on them. It could be it could be one paragraph for each of them, and that is fine. Let me know how multimedia relates or can be used or is used in areas like this. So in a business environment, multimedia can be used for advertisements. They use it for advertisements, in a business environment. And some of these businesses use multimedia tools that could be maybe a CD-ROM, DVDs, training sessions, flyers, there's so many things, digital stuff related. So let me put it that way. So let me know how multimedia is being used in the business environment, in the research and medicine environment. So research, multimedia is used in research in the field of science, medicine, and the rest, mathematics. How does it relate to research? Let me know how multimedia relates to research. So write short notes on all of these. So this is going to be the first assignment. I'll craft it very well and put it on the page. And I'll give a deadline of today's date is 8. So today is Wednesday. So Tuesday evening, 11:59 p.m. is a deadline for assignment 1. Okay. I'll put it on the page so you can note it in there. Okay, so make sure you go through that. So there are certain stages that is required whenever we think of a multimedia project. So these stages are sequential, meaning that you can't go away with one. You have to move in that order. So sequentially, these are the 3 main stages of a multimedia project. So if I tell some of you, maybe if you want to come out with a multimedia project, maybe come or in a quiz, what are the stages that are involved? There are 3. The first one is the pre-production, the production itself, and also the post-production. So what really happens at each of these stages? So these stages are sequential, as I said. So usually before you begin any work, everybody involved in that particular project or work should agree to what is going to be done and why they need to do or embark on that particular project. By projects, I mean to say, because we are dealing with multimedia projects, we don't think of any other thing, but things relating to multimedia. So these are the 3 main projects, and you should be mindful that the lack of agreements with people involved in such projects can create some sort of misunderstanding. And by so doing, this can have some sort of grim effects. Oh, don't worry, look, man, I'll get you the slides. I'll put the slide right after this. I'll put the slides up for you. Don't worry, you have everything. Don't worry, you are going to get everything. You know, you are pioneers, the IS, you are pioneers. So this is the first, what do you call it? Most of the courses are being taught in the department for the first time. So I'm also preparing the lecture materials as and when. But the PowerPoint, I'm going to give everything to you. But before we finish all the what do you call it? We finish the class, you will have the handouts for the course. So don't worry about it. I'll give you everything. That is why I want you to, watch the videos and the rest. Virtually almost everything that I'll talk about is in the handout. So most times students that watch my videos, they are most of the time able to excel because I try to bring everything that is in the handout in my video. So please always make sure you take note of that. It's unfortunate. I'll be meeting you in class, so no videos for you. All right, so the lack of agreement. So as I was saying, these stages, which is whenever you want to embark on a multimedia project, I'm saying that you need to make sure everybody will be involved. And each of these, Jeremiah, what I'm saying is you will submit the assignment online. I'll open it on the VLE, so everything will be done on the VLE. So each of the projects, so before you embark on these, everybody should be involved on the projects and should agree that this is what we want to do and this is what we want to achieve and why we want to embark on this particular project. Whenever you think of a multimedia project, you can't start building a website and your team members do not know what to do. If not, at the end of the day, you spend more money in putting things together, or you waste money in doing certain things that are not relevant in the project. So it's always important to discuss with everybody. You agree on what you want to do and why it needs to be done and the essence of that. So lack of these disagreements can cause or can create some sort of misunderstanding. And this can have some grain effects on the project itself, that is the production process. So it is very imperative to have an initial agreement with a very good reference point that will help you know the sequential decisions that needs to be made as and when you embark on that production. So when you have done all of these, and after the clarification of the why we need this project and need to embark on this project, what multimedia product has to do is, in order to fulfill its purpose, you make that final decision. And the why and what determines all the how decisions. That includes the storytelling, the flow charts, the media content that you're going to put on board. Yes, come in. Sorry, just a minute. Okay, so as I was saying, yeah, so that is about it. So please, these are the three main stages that you need to go through. We have the pre-production, we have the production itself, and the post-production. So the production itself is the process before producing multimedia projects. I've seen that people are going. I have another assignment I will give you. The process, unfortunately, I see you when you enter and when you end. That is how I'm able to give assignments. And the process is in which multimedia projects is also produced. So that's for the production and the post-production, the process after the production of the multimedia project itself. I'm almost done, so bear with me and let's go through it quickly. So for the pre-production, these are the things that, is always in mind. The idea or the motivation, when you talk about the pre-production, the product's concept and the project goals, the target audience. So which people are we going to target? Is it going to be kids? If you are coming out with a multimedia production for maybe a cartoon for kids, target audience is going to be kids. So the delivery medium, how is it going to be? Are we going to load it on Facebook? Are we going to load it on YouTube? Which tool are we going to use to alter it in the altering process? What are we going to do? So anytime we talk about the pre-processing, these are the things that is most of the time discussed with members. So the idea and the motivation, let us know, is the idea marketable? Will we get money out of the idea? Is the idea the best option for such a production? So there are certain things, but these are the main topics that we normally talk about anytime we talk about pre-production. For production itself, it also deals with these ones. Of course, in the production stage, all the components of the planning, which we talked about, we now put it into effect. And the production phase usually runs easily if the project manager has distributed responsibility to the right people to work on each particular task at any point in time. And usually below are some of the things that the people who are involved in the production do. The script writing, the art, the 3D modeling, the animation, the authoring, the shooting of the videos, and the digitizing video, the quality control. So I have all these in the handouts. I'll get it to you. So I would want you to also have an idea of that. So the post-production, as the name says, post after production. So after the production of the multimedia project, what are some of the things that you do? Those are the post-production technicalities that should be addressed to produce a perfect and error-free project. It is one of the most fundamental of all the stages of the production, and the stages that most of the time is involved in post-production are the ones that is here. So the testing process, mastering, and also archiving. So after everything, how do we archive? How do we duplicate? How do we market? How do we distribute what we have produced? Are we going to advertise it? What are we doing? How are we going to, generate revenue from the production that we've had? All these are things that you should have in mind. Those of you here, do you have a class after this? All right, so this is going to be the assignment 2. Oh, great. All right, I'll leave you. It's almost time. I'll leave you right now. So I have assignment 1 and assignment 2 going to be posted today. So you have up till next week, Tuesday, 11:59 p.m. to submit these 2 assignments. They are different assignments. So I'll meet you. I think we have a class tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to hold our quiz. We'll have our first quiz tomorrow. So please get yourself ready. I will discuss this with your class rep. If I'm unable to meet you tomorrow because of, I also have a class tomorrow, which is clashing with us. I will let you know. But tomorrow we are having our first quiz, and it will not be online. I'm meeting you in class. You said you don't want online. I'm meeting you in class, but it will be online. So just bring your phone, and you can take the quiz. It's just 20 minutes. So I'll meet you tomorrow. Thank you, and have a good evening. Bye-bye. All right, bye-bye, everyone. So let's see. Okay, so I can stop the recording. I'll have this recording uploaded for you, so you will see it online. Thank you, everyone.